Hello, folks. We are sponsored by NextGen Power. If you don't know what NextGen Power is about, they provide green energy solutions powered by the sun. So you can save money and reduce your carbon footprint in doing so. Now, with rising costs on fuel, we're all feeling the pinch at the moment. You can take control of your monthly costs in your home or business and save up to 70% on your energy bills while doing so. So check it out, their website at nextgenpower.uk, get a free quote, and hopefully we can save you some money. Hello and welcome to the He Doesn't Want a podcast. This week's episode will be focusing on the Mid Ulster Football League Intermediate A division. We're going to start with the team which is currently sitting top of the tree, which is Crewe United and their manager, Eamonn McCarthy. Eamonn, how are you, mate? You all good?
All good, Gary. Thanks. Very good. Thank you.
Mate, pleased to get you on again. Had a good chat with you before during lockdown. We're now in a situation now where you've found yourselves top of the table with the team behind you, 5 points behind, but you've Oxford Sunnyside with games in hand who could move level to win their games in hand. So at the moment where you're sitting, are you happy enough, and how do you think your season's went so far?
Yeah, the season has been a difficult one. We've been unlucky with injuries. We're missing a lot of goals. So Dan Smith has been injured long term. And we found it difficult to replace that. Smurf had been out, and we brought a big Chanty in from Ballyclare, and he got injured. We've just had a real bad run of strikers. Every bloody striker was saying they get hurt. We signed a lad from McCann's late on, Rob O'Neill, and was training him on the day before deadline, and he trained last Thursday night and done his knee in the first night in training. So we've just had a horrible run. So our goals tally last year would have been a lot higher in the 4 category than it is this year. So we've made it a bit more difficult for ourselves. So the likes of Moneyslane on Tuesday night, Market Hill, we were by far the better side. With loads and loads of possession, with loads of chances, but 1-0 you win, and you're always conscious that they get a breakaway and score. So it's put a bit more pressure on us than what we'd like. We had won, obviously, 39 games unbeaten, which stretched back to August 2021. And then we lost 2 and 3 when we lost at home the Valley and the Tandragee. So I suppose it's like buses, you don't have one for a long time and then you get 2 in a row. And that set us back a wee bit because the league, I think there's a bit more of a gap this year in terms of the bottom and the top. And the top, you can go on a run of winning 8 or 9 games in the league. So you have to win all your games and you have to win your head-to-head. So we're in a pretty good position. We've got players coming back from injury. Dan's maybe a week or 2 away. Big Rob that I said about there should be fit for Saturday. And as I say, if we can get the striking problem sorted, I think we'll be okay. We're very strong in the middle of the park. Aaron Harmon has had a wee bit of a reaction to a knee problem, so we're trying to manage him as best we can. But we'll have him available for the bigger games, and as I say, hopefully we can nurse our way through it. I seen Oxford drew on Wednesday night away to St Mary's. So then, again, it's a long way to go, but if they won all their games in hand, they'd still be a couple of points behind us. But I suppose it just proves, and I've always said it, it just proves that midweek football's at this level is a different game. It may as well be a different game altogether, because when guys are coming to work and stuff and you're rushing down on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and it's just a different, you get a different performance from what you do on a Saturday. So that Saturday, Tuesday or Saturday, Wednesday is difficult. And I suppose it's who stands at the best. I can guarantee that the Crew will drop points between now and the end of the season, but I also think the others will drop points, and it's a case of who drops the least. Will be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, the recent games you've had, so you won 3-2 last week, but that was a comeback victory. But it's obviously something which it shows the title challengers that what the makings is of them if they can come back and win 3-2 so late on. But it also means it's physically and emotionally putting a wee bit of stress on your boys, and then you have a game again on Tuesday night, and you've already started your midweek games the last couple of weeks. So you were saying about the lack of gold as well. Do you think having to go through that tighter games is harder? It takes a toll on your players going forward, or?
not fucking worried about the players. It's my heart that's it. You like to curse on this? I don't know.
No, you can't, David. Go ahead.
Fuck the players. I'm not worried about it. I'm not in the best of health, as you might guess, and blood pressure's up through the roof, and you're watching. We're getting beat 2-0 at Hanover last week, and we were awful. We just didn't play well. Hanover, to be fair, were well drilled, and to be honest, only looked like one winner, and we smurfed them off the bench and got two, and then we scored in the 91st second minute, and again Tuesday night it's hard. So no, all joking aside, it does put pressure on. Last week was a bit different because we conceded two sloppy goals for what our defensive record's normally very solid, but we did give away two sloppy goals. So I suppose for the first time the defence can't blame the strikers for not putting the ball in it because they give away two stupid goals. So but it showed a wee bit of character. And I just listen. You rather go out and win 2 or 3-0 and then make substitutions and give players rest and do all the things that comes with getting an early lead. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened for us, so we've had to grind it out another way. I still think we're going to give somebody a pasting soon because we're playing some nice football. But a chance on Tuesday night against Market Hill to score. We scored after 3 minutes and had a really great chance to score after 4. I'm not mentioning any names, but Jeremy McMullen, he couldn't score furniture, and it's been a sort of a thing all season with you. Absolute super player, great winger, but honestly, couldn't score his dinner, couldn't score furniture. I mean, so you miss chances like that. It hurts. He scores that goal at the 4 minutes. We win 4-5. I think when pressure's off, we're 1-0. We're dodging it, but no, we're in a good position. We're starting to get players back into striking positions. If somebody, I suppose we're talking about it today, if somebody goes and scores 10 or 12 goals in a running, will be hard to beat because we are playing well in the middle of the park and we're defending quite well. Maybe last Saturday apart,
Yeah, it's just recently too as well. He's went top of the league because obviously a lot of games in hand before that. But as we said earlier, you've played a lot of midweek games recently. You're almost getting ahead of the curve and getting your midweek games in early. So you're now ahead, and now you're the team that everyone wants to catch. Would you prefer to be in that position, or would you prefer to be?
No, definitely. Listen, points on the board all day long.
Yeah,
points on the board every day of the week. If I'm watching the Masters and I want somebody doing the Masters, I want them out in front and everybody chasing because it's ours to lose, and we're very much the same. I would swap the points on the board for anything because I know what it's like. I mean, we have 10 league games left, sort of 13 or something. So, we're both still in the cup. So there's, I don't honestly know when the season's going to stop. Because, and again, I could be wrong, but the Mid Ulster League in my short period here don't seem to play Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
The way the Amateur League does and the way the Ballymena District do. Maybe they will introduce that soon. I don't know. But, if there's 10 Saturdays left from now, it's a long way to go. Even if it's midweek, 5 or 6 Saturdays, it's still a long way to go. Yeah. So I don't know what way it's going to finish, but like we've a big enough squad there at the minute. Once we get our injuries free, we've a big enough squad to go and win Saturday, Tuesday, or Wednesday because we can make changes. We're fortunate. It's just been up front where we've been crying out for somebody to put the ball in the net, and hopefully we get that. So in our recent game with Oxford, Oxford's the best side we've played this season. They're a good quality side, and we were the better side against them at home in the league game. But they scored maybe with 15 minutes to go 1-up. So again, we're just not putting teams away. So we know we have to go to Oxford. We know we have a lot of other tough away games. But we'll fancy our chances on any given day if we've got the right squad. And as I say, if we start fixing that wee problem up front, I think it'll be hard to second.
Yeah, I take it that winning the league and then hopefully a playoff or promotion is what the club has in mind going forward.
Listen, that would be ideal. That would be utopia. But people always say to me about the playoff, and like a playoff, there's nothing happens. We're trying to win the league. We are trying to win the league, and that's it. Whatever comes after that comes after. I don't really look at who's doing well in other leagues or who's applied or whatever. We concentrate on trying to win the league because you get nothing without it. And we'll finish runners up in the league before, but don't want that. we don't want to do that again. We want to win the league, and whatever comes after that comes after it. I don't really care about that. I'd really like to get I'd like to win. They're still in the Marshall Cup, and I'd like to win it too. We have a tough game away to Moneyslane in the next round, the quarterfinals. But that's something, there hasn't been trophies at Crewe, and my ambition was to try and change that. So we're very, very focused on trying to win the league and trying to win the cup. So the playoff is just it's a million miles away as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you have a busy schedule ahead then. So 10 league games, cup, potentially a double, or it's just managing the squad really and just trying to sort of get through it as best you can then.
That's it. The lads seem to be banging into it. There's always a couple unhappy, and I accept that. I don't like anybody being unhappy when they're left out of the squad or the team, and that's what we want. But I think people realise, we've a couple of senior citizens within the team too, that Saturday Tuesday becomes difficult on the old joints. So we try to manage it as best we can, and we have been changing it. We've been tinkering it, moving about, and we've been getting away with it. But there does come a point in time as well where we need to start getting the best team in the park every week and trying to go and win matches, because as I said earlier on in the season, you probably could have said, like, well, we feel we can win this game and we could change it, but now every game's tough.
Yeah,
there's always a bit of nervousness, there's a bit of tiredness, there's a bit of, and you've teams scrapping for their lives. So the bottom of the league teams are fighting for relegation and all that goes with it. So there's no easy games anymore. We really, really struggled, to get over the line against Market Hill on Tuesday night, and as I say, Oxford struggled on Wednesday night against St Mary's. So it's tough out there. It's getting to the stage where you just got to try and win every game, or certainly be competitive in every game. And we're hopeful that we, with the squad in the position it's in, we can do that.
Yeah, I know you're saying there, and there's a lot of games which are a lot tighter than what you probably expect going into it, especially with a midweek being a leveler. Are you just taking it one game at a time, or are you just looking at certain games where you play challengers, or?
No, 100%. We're just trying to take it one game at a time. I think we took our eye of the ball when we lost the 2 games. We had a countdown. We're sort of saying with 20 games to go, and we were counting it down, and we were trying to watch, and we probably had we were using a bit of visualization as to what it looks like and how it shapes up, and thinking about what it would look like if we were good enough to go and win the league. And I believe in stuff like that, but it sort of got this stage now where it's just one at a time. And Saturday we play Seago away, and they've picked up since we last played them. We beat them 7 at home a long time ago, but they've improved dramatically since that. And I know that'll be a very, very tough game, and that's all we're really focused on at the minute, because anything could go wrong. I was talking about Jared McMullen there, and he done his ankle on Tuesday night. He could be out for a long time too. So you don't really know what you have. You need to really get the game out of the way and assess it after it, and see who's available for the midweek game after it. Then it's busy at the minute. It's because you're not getting the big rest Saturday. You're getting a report on Sunday how everybody is, and then you're trying to pick a squad for Tuesday again. So. But look, I've been here before, and particularly in the amateur league, I've been Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday for long periods of time, and you just have to adapt it. Listen, we're in the same position as everyone else. In fact, in a probably slightly better position than that. We've only 10. Was to say, there's other teams with 13, 14, 15 games to play. So, look, they all have to be finished sooner or later. And as I say, we've no idea yet when it stops. So we'll just have to keep our head down and try and get as many points and goals on the board as we can, and make it difficult to catch.
Yeah. So thanks very much, mate, for coming on. I know you're a busy man, busy schedule, and like I said, a lot of midweek games. So between training and all these matches, trying to get you in for an interview, I appreciate you giving up your time.
Yeah, no problem at all. Anytime, and wish you all the best with the podcast and everything. Hope everything goes well.
Yes, best of luck the rest of the season, mate. Thank you.
Talk soon, Gary. Thanks.
I'm here with Peter McCann from Oxford Sunnyside. Peter, how's things, mate? How are you doing?
Good, mate, good. I am personally on the road to recovery, mate. I've been out for about 3 months injured. I shattered my hand of all injuries. Right. The most innocuous challenge in a game at the start of the year. And I had to get plates and screws and everything put in to reconstruct the hand to get it all fixed up. So actually, I'm not far away from getting back playing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that the next few weeks I'll be back again. So it's moving in the right direction, mate, so it's not too bad at all.
Mate, well, you're one of the only few people then who's probably looking forward to having so many games left at the end of the season. You still half a season left to play.
That's what I'm saying, all these cups and all, usually when you're playing all these, I'm sure, look, a lot of the boys, you're playing every week and it's a cup, and then you don't play league games for like 3 weeks, and then you play a league game, and then you don't play a league game for another 2 weeks, and then another cup game. And look, I can get frustrating at times with so many cups, but lucky enough, we're still in. We're in a final of one cup. We're still in. I think we're in the quarters of another cup, and we've already won the Bob Radcliffe. So the cups have been all right for us this year. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, it's kind of been, in terms of your league, it's been a victim of your own success because you have done so well in the cups. It's inevitable. You're going to have such a backlog of games left to play. What have you, 13 games left to play? Or
yeah, 13, literally just past the halfway mark after the other night's game at St Mary's there. So half a league to go and then still plenty of cups. So I'm buzzing, to be honest. So hopefully if I can get fit here fully, I might get a load of games in before the end of the season.
Yeah, you might get a wee final in there as well.
I know, fingers crossed.
In terms of your league campaign, so the way it was working out before your draw the other night, you just have to chase the Crewe United, who are now leaders. You've Moneyslane and Bourneview, you still pushing away as well. So with the games in hand, obviously you have a bit of catching up to do. How do you feel your squad shaping up for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, look, you know, we think we've been sort of chasing it from maybe before Christmas. You know, we were looking at Moneyslane, we're away, running away because it's so many games, and we were playing cup games, and then Crewe then have ended up having a lot of games because they've got the floodlights, so they've been able to play midweek games to then win games. And you know, everybody says it's better to have points on the board than be sitting waiting, you know, to play games. But yeah, look, there's still a long way to go for games. We had a bit of a disappointing result after such a good win last weekend against Moneyslane. We went and played St Mary's during the week, and for loving their money, we had plenty of possession. I think it was nearly 80% possession, but just couldn't put the ball in the net. It's just one of them nights, and such is life. But there's the boys and the squad are good. We've got a few wee knocks and niggles that boys are carrying. I wouldn't say everybody's 100%. I've been out to a few other boys that have went off injured, but long term. But hopefully over the coming weeks we can sort of get everybody back fully fit and back into the squad and push on from there.
Yeah, at this stage of the season, you'll be playing a lot of midweek games twice a week. It'll be pretty much the norm between now and the end of the season. So it's about managing it, I suppose, rotating it as well, and then hoping that when you do so, you're not affecting the fluidity of the team either.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing at this level, and me and Paddy have talked about it, that you've got such a big squad. You know, we maybe have 18, 19 players at training, but they can't all play. But you've got to keep them happy, and it's about rotating, and everybody is vital. And I keep on reiterating at the boys that everybody will be needed. You can't, and especially at this level, look, we've got boys that are working day jobs from early morning. Some boys on sites, you know, and you can't sustain playing the games and playing to the top level of your ability week in, week out. You just can't. You're going to have dips in your form. You might pick up wee niggles here and there. So everybody's going to be needed in the squad, but that doesn't make it any better for boys that aren't playing. There's frustration for them. They want to be playing every week too, but it is really a squad effort this year, more so than any year that we've been in, because we've done so well to date. So we just need all the boys just to keep the heads, everybody just to stay on track with what we're trying to do, and please God it all works out in the end.
Yeah, it would be, I suppose it'd be a lot worse if you'd nothing to play for, still had all these games, but there's so much to play for, and like you said, so much competition for places. Boys, when they do get the opportunity, I'm sure it'll be busting to get their place in the team more regularly. Yeah.
Here, look, the thing is with footballers, you know, when you look at it, footballers, although all the boys are best mates, your player that you're playing with is your first rival. You know, it's a weird scenario, that whole dynamic that, oh, he's my mate and all, and I like him here, but I'd love to be in ahead of him, and I want him to be sitting on the bench. And that's a competitive arena that you're in. But boys just have to be ready, as you're rightly saying, and be ready to pounce if we're given an opportunity. Because look, I've been in football too long. A guy could turn out tomorrow while sitting on the bench, and then next thing 5 minutes in, he's done, he's injured. You come in, you play well. You maybe score a goal, or you defend well, and you have a good defensive performance in midfield, and next thing you're in the next game Wednesday night. other boys on the bench, and that's just the way the football goes. And that's something that we've done this year. That we've said to everybody that regardless if you turn up for training and you're playing well, you play on a Saturday and you keep the shirt, and if you don't, then we can make decisions around that. So if anybody comes knocking on our door for me and Paddy and they're saying, look, I think I should be playing, we go, well, such and such is playing every week. We've won the past 4 or 5 in a row. How can we just take them out of the team and put you in? You can't. So boys have to be understanding that level too. But at the same time, boys don't really want to be understanding times. You just say, here, look, I should be playing. And you're going, right, well, tell me why you should be playing. You know, so we have to manage that. That's up to me and Paddy to do that. And I think we've done it well to date. And it's definitely going to be, as I say, a lot of games to play, and a lot of boys are going to be playing football, not just the 11 boys that are outfield there in the game on Tuesday night, Wednesday night there. There's going to be, everybody's going to be needed here for us to be able to win stuff this year.
In terms of your schedule, looking at the teams you have remaining to play, is there certain games you're going to pinpoint, or certain games you know that are going to be maybe tougher tests than others, or is it just one game at a time?
No, it's just one game at a time. Win all 14 and then win the league, and then that's it. And you just go on your summer holiday there. It would be nice if it could be as simple as that, but look, no, for us, for me, and I've always looked at it in football, you sort of do many targets. You set 2, you set 3, you win 3, and then you focus on the next 3. You break it down, that whole cohort of games that you're going to be playing. You have to really look at it and go, right, get them done, make them points out of it, and then you have to calculate within them that you're going to have a blip some week. You can't just go and win because of the way that amateur football is, and injuries and work schedules, and some boys can't get out of work or whatever. It could be on shifts and evening shifts or anything. So yeah, it's always changing, the dynamics changing, but I always try to break it down into we set games of 2s and 3s, and you get them behind you and then you focus on the next ones. But you know, the old adage that every game's most important is very true. But whenever you're trying to look ahead for stuff, you have to have a bit of foresight and thinking, well, if we do this and we do that, that's what pushes to there. And you have to think about scenarios where you could be, and then looking at other fixtures of where other teams could be. But as I said, like 14 games to go, huge amount of games. And look, I suspect all the teams around the top, they're not going to go 14 games unbeaten. And that includes ourselves. It just doesn't happen. So we have to just make sure that whenever we do have a bad day, and it's not a day that we lose, and we just make sure we keep ourselves right and keep our ship tight, and then we'll take it from there.
In terms of going forward, if you were to win the league this year, is Irish League a possibility for the club? Or you obviously had that big away day last year in the Irish Cup, so is there a possibility the club will look to push up through the Irish League? Or
yeah, it is. It's something that they want to do. Whenever I first came on board there a few seasons back, Gary, it's something that Paddy showed me. He was like, here, this club's forward thinking. They really want to progress and move forward, and this is the direction that we want to go in. So yeah, if we've applied to go up this year, I think ourselves and Crewe. I'm not sure who else within the league has applied, but the club's getting all the parameters needed to make sure that everything's in place to move the club forward. And they're doing that off the field, which whenever we're successful on it pushes everything together at the same time. And I think that the Irish Cup last year was a bit of a taste for everybody at the club. This is something that you'd like to be having each week, having crowds and having big days and stuff. So yeah, it's something that the whole club really wants to focus in on, and hopefully whenever we're winning, it'll attract more people and players to the club, and then the club can continue to build from strength to strength.
But currently, out of all the teams chasing you, the only team that has silverware in the bank so far this season. But you obviously have a lot more to play for. Is it the Cup's more of a bonus then in terms of what you're trying to achieve, or is it the league is your bread and butter?
Here, look, it comes down to this Cup. Brilliant for the club, brilliant for the lads, and it can only build confidence. But if you're sitting here and look, I've been there, won cups and done all the rest, leagues is what matter. Leagues, and if anybody tells you any different about, it's great to win a cup or it's great to win the Premier Cup and all that there, you could take all the cups and you could say to every player in the changing room, what do you want to win? And I'll say they want to win the league, because that shows your basic consistency throughout the year, and that it wasn't a one-off game or a penalty shootout or is something that got you through into the next round or wins a final. You've earned it when you've won, 28 games or 26 games, when you've been the best of the best for them amount of games. That's where you stand and you go, look, lads, we turned up in the middle of winter and we turned up in the summer and we turned up week in, week out as a team, and this is our reward for it. So yeah, it's a league that counts. You get a wee bonus of a cup in there. For us, so far, winning the Bob Radcliffe was brilliant for the club, brilliant for all the players. Was a really great day and great night, and the club buzzing, and hadn't done it in 30 years. And it gives your club a real lift. It really does, the whole. And then they get it. The best thing for it, Gary, is that people get a taste of success. Yeah. And then what happens when people get a taste of success? They want more. And that sort of pushes the whole club on, not just the team on the field, to go, well, if we want this to push forward, what do we do? And a big part of it is you have to invest across the board to move the club forward, on the field, behind the scenes, everything. And as I said there before, this is what Sunnyside are doing. And they're not trying to just do it without a plan in place. There's a lot of people on the board there, and especially Paddy in the background there, the good business people that want to really gradually move it forward. So it's not just you get to a certain level and then the bubble bursts, and then all of a sudden you're back down again, and it's like, what happened? Everybody disappears. That's not the way the club wants to go. It's a steady process, and it'll come, but it's not going to be just a rushed thing. It'll be when it happens, it'll be a permanent thing that'll stay in place, and the club will continue to move forward and thrive.
Yeah, so it's not just about getting it right on the pitch for you guys, it's about getting it right off the pitch and the structure of the club, and how important that is, everything around the club, so that you're not just, sometimes as coaches or managers, whatever, you come into a club and you think that your job is just on the pitch, but as we know, at this level, it's about building the whole club up around it as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's the whole structures of the club, and it's about slowly building it, getting the right people in, getting the right personnel, getting the right players on the pitch, and then from that, when success happens and success breeds, then it happens throughout the club. Because even with the youth structure within Sunnyside, from the young age all the way through, is brilliant, and they're witnessing then the first team doing well and winning things, and then it gives them a push. Well, here, this is a club that I want to be part of. It's not like once Glenavon or another team come knocking. It gives young lads, I'd like to play for the first team here. You know what I mean? I like this club. I want to be here, and that's something that can be progressed. And then you might, if things move in the right direction, might be get to a stage where some of the young lads might want to stay with us because you are in the Irish leagues, and you are playing maybe lower level, but you've got a progression there where the club's moving within the Irish league. So players don't want to leave; they want to stay within the club. And that would be a massive thing for the club moving forward.
Well, mate, thanks very much for giving up your time. Especially seeing as I think I've got you just at the right time. We have a busy schedule coming up, and then you have a lot of games to be playing yourself, hopefully, as well. So
here, look, it's massive. It's great. It's great to have competition all around. Bourneview, you got Moneyslane and Crewe, and a lot of people talk about Crewe and ourselves being, it's going to be a fight out or a shootout between the two years and stuff, but there's loads in there. Look, Bourneview are only a few points behind. They've got games there. Moneyslane although they've played a significant amount of games more than us, we still have to get to their points haul before we can even start to move beyond them. So we need to just keep ourselves in order, keep the lads focused on what we want them to do. And if we get ourselves on a good wee run here, I think we'll not be far off come the end of the season.
Yeah, could have more silverware.
Here, be nice. Here, get the cup and get another cup or something. Thing could end up turning out being one of the most successful seasons the club's ever had.
Yeah, brilliant. Mate, thanks very much again. I really appreciate it, and best of luck for yourselves the rest of the season.
Yes, thanks very much, mate. 100%.
Thanks, bye. This episode is sponsored by Tone Your Own. Tone Your Own sell personalised sports accessories and have supplied a range of clubs across the professional and amateur game. If you check out their website on toneyourown.com or across their social media pages, you'll find that they do personalised captain's armbands. They can do pennants, water bottles, or even shin guards. They may have something they can offer you between now and the end of the season, or even looking in the next year, for you as an individual or your club as a whole. I'm here with Mark Jackson, who is the Bourneview mill manager. Mark, how are you keeping, mate? All good?
Not too bad. All's good with me. Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming on. We're trying to get the Mid Ulster Intermediate A teams involved in this week's podcast. So yourselves, Bourneview Mill, looking at the league table. Currently, it shows you sitting mid-table, but with so many games left to play, and we've played 13 games, I'm sure you'll still be looking up the table as the time goes on.
Fuck yeah! Listen, as a lot of people said, we take one game at a time, and we were sitting rock bottom there for a while, but we're definitely bouncing back up there. We've went 10 unbeaten, and we're pushing there now. So we have.
You're definitely the form side in the league, and looking at your two defeats, they were against Moneyslane, who were top of the league for so long, but you've still left to play a lot of the other contenders for the league, so you've a lot to play for really going forward, don't you?
Yeah, we've still to play Crewe twice. We've still to play Oxford, and we played Tanzania Rovers next Wednesday as well. So the midweek games are going to come in, so they're going to be coming thick and fast because there is that many games left.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough end of the season for us. But all we can do is just take one game at a time, and have a lot of players coming back from injuries, so we're hopefully going to be at full strength coming into towards the end of the season there.
Yeah, it's this time of season, things come thick and fast. There's about 15 league games left to play, so it's probably going to be two a week
Yeah,
from here on out, is it?
yeah, probably is. You could even maybe see three games a week at times, so you could come out but we just don't know with fixtures. Our
Yeah.
fixtures just sort of come just a week at a time, really, for us, which is a bit frustrating at times for us.
Yeah, and then in terms of your squad, is happy enough that your squad is you have the depth there to cope with that when it comes to it.
That's the thing. Well, with players coming back from injuries, big keeper's been out for a while now, so he should be coming back within the next couple of weeks. We have other players coming back, it's been out for a while now, so that'll be good for us to get them players back in. Depth in the squad mightn't be the strongest, but if we get a good starting 14 out there, we should be strong there with that.
Yeah, and then in general at the club, since you've taken over, I've noticed that you've been on an upward trajectory. So you've been moving up right through the leagues, and then now you're one of the teams which is actually pushing for the Mid Ulster Intermediate A division title. So it's been a good race for yourself personally as part of your club's management system.
Yeah, definitely. When I took over, it was the club wasn't sort of they weren't strong there, and it was Intermediate B. And the thing for us was to get a structure about the club
Yeah,
and get a team together for us and just challenge that Intermediate B and get up into that Intermediate A. The Intermediate A is a brilliant jump. It's a brilliant jump for us.
yeah,
We felt that we could challenge an Intermediate A. And that year, I think we got promotion. We finished second. We missed out on a lot of league games. We had a long break of about maybe 10 matches in a row we missed out on, which really hit us hard that season. And
yeah.
then once we got into Intermediate A, we just hit the ground. We built every year and we got new players in and strengthened up and pushed our way up the league. So we had.
I'd imagine then that the aim for the club is if you win the league, then you push yourself towards Irish League, and then if that was the case, do you think you're ready on and off the pitch as a club to do so?
Well, the step up into that, let's see if you want to call it the Championship Two there, to step up into that there, it is a big step, a very big step. There is a lot of money involved up there at that level as well. So there is.
Yeah,
So it's a thing where you have to get the players in. There has to be a structure, better structure around the club. But that's where I want to be. That's where I want to keep
yeah.
pushing up and climbing up the tables and get in playing them leagues and playing against them teams and definitely want to be pushing to get up there now. So would I?
Yeah, it's good if everyone in the club's singing off the same hymn sheet. If you're thinking that, the players are thinking that, the club's thinking that, you all know what the end goal is, and it's something to strive for, especially when you have so many games left to play at the end of the season, and you've so much to play for because you have the rewards hopefully at the end of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I tell the players every week in the change room, it's 3 points here and we can win this league. And it's to get that mentality into their heads, when we're training, we're telling them we can push to win this league. And, every match before we go out, and it's 3 points and we can go and win this league.
Have you any more cup games left to play when the League Cups or?
We have the Premier Cup final, and we play Oxford in it. And we're in, I think it's a quarterfinals of the Marshall Cup. We've played when our Mindwell FC. We've still to play them as well.
The cups themselves, are they a bonus, or are you just focusing on every single bit of silverware you can get your hands on this season?
Oh, listen, the club the club needs silverware. You know, it's what we want. You know, we want to get we want to push to get a cup. That was the main objective at the start of the season. That's get silverware into the club, and you know, we'll just take one game at a time with the league, and we'll keep pushing and pushing as best we can with that.
Yeah.
But if we can go and get silverware, we'll definitely push to get that as well.
Well, thanks very much for coming on, mate. I really appreciate your time, and I wish us best of luck the rest of the season. You have a lot to play for and a lot of games, so I'm sure you're going to be a busy man. I've probably got you in a good time before all this busy periods come in. So
Yeah, no, indeed it is. It's going to be a very busy end of the season, and it's good for the players and it's good for the coaches and ourselves. You know, to be pushing for something, to play in that final, the Premier Cup, and to be pushing for the league as well. You know, it's that's exactly where we want to be, and that's where the players want to be, and that's where we're going to keep challenging.
It would make it a lot harder playing those games if you didn't have those those aims so good, but at least you do. Mate, thanks very much again, and I wish you best of luck the rest of the season.
You.
Thanks. I am here with Matthew Jackson, who is the manager of Moneyslane. Matthew, how are you, mate? You all good?
Yeah, all good, all good. Thanks for having me on.
I really appreciate you giving up your time. I know it's a busy schedule this time of year. We're top of the league for a long time there. Crewe have just overtaken you in the past week or so. How do you feel your season's went so far in general?
For us, it's nice to be up there, and I think off the back of last season, the main priority was just for progression and to try and improve on last season. Last season was my first in charge, and for a long part of the season, we were in around the bottom 2 or 3. And I even remember asking the question in January and February, is there definitely 3 teams getting relegated and not 2? Because we were down there and it was a bit of a dogfight, but we found that sort of run of form towards the end of last season, and ended up finishing mid-table. So no, it's nice to be up there, and we kept everybody from last season and added 4 players coming into this season, which was sort of the goal, to add to what we had last season. And it's a good group of boys, and the season so far has been good. We've sort of tightened things up with the exception of Saturday past. We don't really ship a lot of goals, which is something we were probably guilty of last year, especially at the start of the season. But a lot of the players that are with us now are local lads that played with me when I was managing the reserves, and they've come up through. So it just took them as much as it took me a bit of time to learn the league and learn the teams that you're going to be playing against. And I always said last season, the second half of the season will be stronger because we'll know what we're up against. Whereas for a lot of us at the start of last season, it was basically a blank canvas. We didn't know what we were going into. But this season, we've been able to build on that. And I don't think at the start of the season anybody would have had us sitting top of the league from October to basically the end of March. But it's been nice to be there. But we're still just trying to finish as high up the league as possible. And I think it's Crewe or Oxford or Bourneview for that matter, for anybody that would have their money on it, really.
Yeah, well, consider last season, I wasn't actually aware of the fact that Warriors were last season at one point. So I take it your aim at the start of the season was just to become more competitive and make sure you weren't in that situation again. So it's almost a pleasant surprise to find yourself top of the table for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's nice to be last season, to be fighting relegation this season, to be in the conclusion or coming into the conclusion of the season and still in those top couple of positions. It's nice to be at the different end of the table, and obviously there's a different type of pressure, but it's nice to have that. And the progression has been fantastic because, as I said, it's a lot of the same squad from last season, with the exception of a couple of additions that we brought in the summer. So it was I sort of always knew that we had a group of boys that could do something, and it's just now putting those results together, and we've put a good run together. And yeah, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, part of that thing as well. You were saying earlier about this, the first half of last season was just a learning curve for everyone, and then you've taken your good form towards the end of last season into this year, and there's just constant progression. So, as a club and as you as a manager, then is the aim over the next couple of years to keep building on that, and then next year you start the season hopefully as title challengers.
Yeah, well, I would say we've probably been a victim of our own success at the moment, in that sense that expectation grows not just within the dressing room, but the fans. If at this point in the season last year, everybody would have bitten your hand off to finish 6th, 7th in the table, but for us, where we're sitting now, and off the back of a heavy defeat to Oxford at the weekend just past, everybody's disappointed, including ourselves in the dressing room. But that's because of the expectation that we've built. And I suppose going into next season, again, when I first took the job, I probably had a 5-year plan, and it was probably seasons 4 and 5 where I would have been looking at trying to break the top 4, top 5, and we're in season 2 and we're sitting there at the moment. So for me, next season, I would say sort of more of the same. And the club hasn't had silverware in quite a number of years, and it's something that I know I've been there while they won silverware, and they're good. They're looking forward to seeing the good times come back. So I would just love to try and in the next season or two try and win some silverware with this group of boys, because I know what they're capable of, and they know what they're capable of, and it would be great to do something like that for the club.
Yeah, with the Crewe being ahead of us and they've a game in hand, I think if they were to win that game in hand, would they go 7 or 8 points clear? Is that right? And then you have Oxford and Bourneview playing catch up. So we can't rule you out completely with the end of the season. Obviously, if the other teams win their games in hand, they go above, but they have to win those as well. So you've 9 league games left, is that right? And between now and the end of the season, you've still a lot to play for.
Yeah, and like our highest ever total at the end of a season in Intermediate A is 46 points, and we're currently on 41 with 9 to go. So touch wood, we can get over that, as an initial sort of focus point, and then push on. Like, we just want to try and finish as high up as possible. And the boys about the club talk about Champions League places. That's what we're going for, is the Champions League places. So
top 4.
It'll be top 4 Champions League places. But no, it'd be nice. And we're still in the Marshall Cup as well. We have Rectory next Saturday in the Marshall Cup at home, and if we were to beat Rectory, we have a home quarter-final against Crewe, which would be a tasty affair as well. But as you say, we're by no means bookies' favourites, but we'll keep going until the final whistle, as the cliche saying goes.
Yeah, still a lot to play for. You maybe don't have the as busy a schedule as the other teams have as well, which hopefully then for you guys can go in your favour. You can hopefully then rest boys a wee bit more, more rest period in between games. And do you think that can benefit us as well between now and the end of the season?
It has to, I think, in some sense. Like, I know Bourneview have something crazy like 15 league games still to play, as well as cups that they're in. So they could be looking at anywhere between 17 to 20 matches in the space of a little over a month and a half, which can't be easy. But also then if you build that momentum and you just become a machine, it's hard to, that also can play into your hands. Again, at this point in the season, I think injuries and suspensions and players absent is also key. So we've probably come into our worst point in the season in terms of injuries. We have a couple out, and at the minute we have a few injuries there that are, some are long term, some are short term, but as I suppose everybody's in the same boat. As an amateur sport, it's difficult, as much as we'd all love it to, it doesn't pay the bills playing football on Saturday. So boys have work, boys have holidays they've had booked, whatever it may be, and but that's the reason we've built a squad, I suppose, to compete. And the addition of the players we brought in this season on top of what we already had is compounded us into a pretty solid squad, which sort of has overcome injuries and suspensions across the season. So going into the final few, I think we should have enough to deal with our schedule. I think we should be okay. It's still a busy schedule, but it could be a lot worse, and hopefully that bit of a breather in between will help us, as opposed to having continuous amount of games, and you never know what can happen. But no, we just have to try and keep ourselves in the hunt as long as possible, and keep putting points on the board.
That's it, mate. And then obviously with the cup still to play for as well, your aim was to get some silverware in the next couple of years, so you have that extra sort of push and incentive as well for the club. And you said earlier you had a 5-year plan, so to get any sort of silverware on the table in their second year, I'm sure would be a massive thing, and then something to build on next season also.
Yeah, absolutely. We're probably a couple of years ahead of where we expected to be in the 5-year plan. The first year was simply just to avoid relegation, so and then slowly build from there. But as I say, we've probably, with performances, we're the victim of our own success, that we have created that expectation for ourselves as much as anything, that we want to go and we want to try and get that silverware that's been so elusive for a long time. And there's been some good squads at the club over the last number of years, and it just has never quite clicked, and they've never got to that stage. But hopefully we can put it together, and it's difficult, especially, you've got some top quality competition that you're up against week in, week out, and we said time and time again, there's no easy games in that league whatsoever. And when it comes to the cup competitions, it's the exact same. It's very rare that you get an easy game. And as ourselves, we're probably what would be known as a battling side. And, most of our victories are 1 or 2 goal advantages. We're never a side that's blowing teams away 6, 7, 8-0. It just doesn't. It's not really us, but we always just seem to find a way to get the job done, which again can be more tiring if you're battling to the 93rd minute every game. The blood pressure knows that for sure.
Well, here, thanks very much for giving up your time. I know you've a busy schedule ahead, obviously, and you've a lot to play for the rest of the season. So I wish you best of luck, and I wish Moneyslane Football Club best of luck as well.
That's great. No, thanks very much for having me on, as I said. Cheers, Gary.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
We'd once again like to thank our sponsors for this episode, who are Next Gen Power and Tone Your Own. Thanks once again, guys, for your support. Without your support, this wouldn't be possible. Thank you.